All of us have things to do, and it may not be better things to do, but we do have other things to do. So we're going to get started. What I'd like to do is go through a little bit of information for you, talk about why we're here, maybe some background to that. I would like to agree upon some ground rules, if we could, on how we're going to facilitate this meeting, and then we'll get started, okay? So first of all, many of you know who I am. I'm the police chief. My name is Tom Downing. I've lived in Susanville since 1986, graduated from Lassen High here. So I'm not someone that just showed up and thought it'd be a great idea to be the police chief here. I've grown up in this community and I care about it just like you do. And it matters to me that what we do here as a community and how we interact together, okay? I also have with me Lieutenant Matt Wood. He's my second in command at the police department. He's here to be a part of the process, to listen, to learn, and also to help me out in that regard. He is a hometown grown guy here as well. Jared Hancock may join us in a little while. He's here doing some other things, but I don't know if any other city officials are planning on joining us. It was open to the public and anyone else could come. Okay, so a little bit of background. Many of you probably know, but a few weeks ago, based upon some community concern and public safety issues, whether you believe they're perceived or they're real, based upon those issues that I believed were in the community, I brought forward, with the assistance with some other staff, and reviewed by our local city attorney, a recommended ordinance to address the cultivation of medical marijuana. During that meeting, many of you came and you spoke, and City Council directed me to meet with the public and to get, well, they asked me how I was going to handle it. You were there. So anyway, the best way to handle that was to meet with the public and to gather more information from you, some comments from you, and see where we can go, wherever that is, where we could go with the topic of the cultivation of medical marijuana. So that's what we were, why we were here and how the background got to that point. So the purpose of this meeting, let me make it clear, the purpose of this meeting tonight is for information gathering, to share information, to hear from you about your thoughts on the cultivation of medical marijuana. So that's what we're here to do today. There will be no decisions made tonight. I don't have the authority to make law. I only have the authority to provide information to the City Council, who the people elect to make the rules. I will provide the information to them, and they get to make that decision as to how we will enforce, not enforce, how we will regulate, or whatever we will do with this specific topic. I do have an opportunity to present the information I have to them. I am directly hired by them. If they choose that that information is not good, then they make that determination. I don't get to make the rules. I just enforce the rules for which they make, okay? And I won't make any, I can't make those decisions tonight. I want to make it clear that I am not here, and I hope you're not here, to argue the merits of medical marijuana or argue the law, the Compassionate Use Act, and the laws that preceded that. That is not the purpose of this meeting tonight. That is not the purpose of the cultivation ordinance that came forward. If you wish to speak on that, that is fine, but I want you to know you don't have to convince me what the law already says. I will enforce the law as it is written as far as medical marijuana. It shouldn't matter my opinion on what I think about the use or the non-use of medical marijuana. I will follow the law as it is, okay? We are here to work to develop, to create or develop something that, one, can be enforceable, two, something that the people that grow medical marijuana legally can live with, and three, it helps me with the issue of dealing with those unsavory people that are growing medical marijuana, or growing marijuana under the guise of medical marijuana, and therefore then using that substance for nefarious use, for illegal uses, or selling. That is the purpose today, okay? I hope we can agree upon some ground rules, and then we're going to open it up to let you talk, okay? Some ground rules that I would like to have is that we are respectful of everyone in the room, that we would respect everyone's opinion. We don't have to agree with their opinion, but I would ask that you would respect someone else's opinion on the issue if they speak in favor or against, or however that happens. I will not be speaking that much, answering that many questions, because I don't think that it's that valuable for me to get into an argument with the issue with you. I want to hear what you have to say so that I can digest that and best prepare to deliver something to the council that we can all work with. It's also appropriate that only one of us speak at a time, and I will ask you to come up to the microphone and speak so that everyone can hear it. I would like to record this conversation. I haven't started the recorder yet because I forgot. It's being videotaped, but so that I can then, because my memory may not be as good as it could be, that I can gather the information you say. Okay, so I'd ask you to come to the microphone, state your name, and speak your piece. If you disagree with that person, please do not just blurt it out, and let's not have a free-for-all or some sort of event like that. I think it'd be appropriate that we could respect each other. Are we all okay with those rules? Does someone else want a different rule? Are we happy with that? Yes, Steve.
I would like to ask you to, after get through their presentation, other people who speak, that will stimulate more thought and conversation. We have a chance to go back up and address that, or just one turn at the microphone.
Yes.
Are we going to be able to?
Provided we're not here till midnight, maybe not even 9 o'clock. But I want to hear what you have to say, and I think that someone saying something may invoke you a thought. Yes, it would be fine, but I would like for you to go back to the microphone when a time is available and speak to that. Okay.
I have so much anxiety. I plead with you. May I go first?
Certainly. I'm going to let you guys decide how you want to do that. Let me yes, sir.
I want to make an observation about, I understand that there's no decisions going to be made tonight and all that.
Yes.
But I would like to think at the end of this, we could all collectively go back into our little corners and come up with something that we think would be appropriate if it's necessary that this is done in the first place. We come up with some suggestions on paper to submit to, you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
To try to make the process where we're all, other than just this, we're a little more involved than that, with ideas about if this ordinance is going to happen in the first place, what it should entail. And you get where I'm...
Maybe you should be second. You have anxiety.
Yes, no.
I just wanted to, I do have anxiety, but I'll get over it.
I'll try.
I think I made my point, but I'm not sure.
I think you made your point. Let me regurgitate it back to you. I think you want to hear or you want to see something before it's approved and want to have some more say into something in writing, therefore.
Pretty much.
Okay, what I'm going to do from the information that I gathered from you, I am going to, and the experts that I have sought out and others, I'm going to come up with something that appears to be an ordinance that I'm going to bring forward to City Council. Ordinances, that they can outright reject it, they can send it back for further modification, or they can accept it. That's really, there may be some others, but those are the three major things that they could do. Sure. If they outright reject it, say we're not going to do anything, then we're done here. You know, this conversation is done. If they send it back for modification because they didn't like what was written or they've heard from you that there should be other things, then we'll do that. If they approve it, what happens with the approval of an ordinance? It has to go to 2 city council meetings, and then it is not actually law for 30 days after the second city council meeting. So we won't be bringing anything back to the city council until at least October 1st. It may be longer than that because the next city council meeting is next Wednesday. It may be longer than that. There is no hurry to rush this thing through and to do it wrong. There certainly isn't. We had to have a starting point, and our starting point was that last meeting. So I'm not in a hurry to rush this through. So I'm not in a hurry to rush it through because we're getting to fall and I want to do something with harvest season or any of those types of things that take place. I would like to get it right the first time and then be enforceable. So
I understand.
Hopefully that answers.
She's sitting.
It does.
Okay, let's get started. Please say your name and town.
My name is Annie Westerbeck. I live in the city of Susanville. I want to thank the Chief of Police for this forum and for everyone who is attending. Thank you all very much. I would like to read to you Lassen County's code for the cultivation of marijuana as defined by section 18.14.275 is prohibited in all zones and districts of the unincorporated area of Lassen County and shall be considered a public nuisance unless such cultivation can be demonstrated to be used only by a qualifying patient. Cultivation means the planting, growing, harvesting, drying, or processing cannabis, marijuana plants, and any part thereof, indoors or outdoors. Those in violation are guilty of a misdemeanor and subject to a $1,000 fine, and or 6 months in jail plus court costs shall be punishable therefore by a fine of not more than $1,000 or by imprisonment in the county jail for a period of not more than 6 months or by both such fine and imprisonment. And I wonder if you, Chief Downing, uphold this ordinance. We are in Lassen County and currently we don't have an ordinance regarding medical marijuana. So is this the ordinance that you would say you administer the law by at this point in time, the Lassen County?
That ordinance is for the county of Lassen in the unincorporated areas of the county. It does not affect the incorporated areas. So what we were talking about here just is within the jurisdiction of the city of Susanville. So I do not enforce that ordinance, no.
Would the county, if there were an illegal garden in the city of Susanville at this time, would the Lassen County Narcotics Task Force go there and deal with that situation?
An illegal garden?
An illegal garden, yes, sir.
Yes, that's the entity, that's the agency that would enforce those type of gardens.
They would. And would the city of Susanville also be funding our task force for Lassen County? Would some funds come from the city's budget as well to make sure that the Lassen County Task Force can do what they need to do in the multiple array? They do a great job. They've been to my garden, we've counted, we've looked. I welcome them. I think we should all have our gardens be registered perhaps, or however we have them. But I'm just wondering under whose jurisdiction the Lassen County Task Force totally works under, besides the county of Lassen. Would it not be, I just can't imagine the city would not be giving them some funds. I hope they do, so they can monitor what they need to do. So I totally support this code that the Lassen County has adopted. This is under code, so this is the ordinance that Lassen County is working under. It seems to be working, it's worked for me. This is about the 5th year I've had a medical marijuana garden. And if I have offended my neighbors, I hope they would tell me, or tell you, or you would tell me, or you tell me what the regulations are. And I want to be law-abiding about every step that I take. But I'm welcoming regulations. I think maybe setbacks and fences and issues for our gardens are necessary. I do not want to see a ban on sun-grown cannabis, the medicine that I use. And I don't know quite what to do if there is one. I might work with others that have been in the Shasta situation. The sun-grown Shasta people quickly, within 30 days, got enough signatures to put on the ballot. And if necessary, to protect our rights, which we feel are within 215, to grow outdoors and to care for ourselves and be caregivers to others who are medical patients. And if we can do this reasonably and fairly without harming our neighbors, then I hope we'll find the parameters to work within those. Would be totally supportive of whatever ordinance happens. I will abide by it. However, I think that perhaps a proposition or initiative, similar to some other counties where we take it to a vote eventually, is an option in the last resort, I hope. And thank you very much again for having me.
Thank you, Mr. West. Someone else like to speak?
It was a little difficult, but I did get a copy of your law.
Please state your name.
Do what?
Please let us all know your name.
Oh, Steve Matthews.
Thank you.
I'm a local, family's been here since 1850, so we've been around a while. Anyway, in looking at your law, one of the things it says that the city may impose regulations to ensure the safety of its residents while not limiting the rights of qualified patients under 215 and 420. If you make somebody put in the building that you're proposing, it creates a large financial problem. I've done the math. The shed, cheapest shed I could find that you can buy from a Home Depot type thing of that size is about $1,700 plus going and getting it inside. The components as far as lighting, filtration, and such is another couple $1,000s. If it's got to be put on a slab, that's going to cost. It's going to have electricity, that's going to take a qualified electrician, that's going to cost some money. The cost of maintaining the grow with electricity is going to cost a fair amount of money. Many of these people are on limited income, and if they start having to pay $250 to $300 a month for lighting and replacement of filters, the filters do not last that long. That imposes that unreasonably limits the rights of qualified patients, the way I look at it. Did a little research. One of the things you were talking about is risk of fire. I called the fire department and asked, how many fires due to cannabis grows in the last year? None. I'm going to be submitting the paperwork to find out how many fires from interior plant grows, including tomatoes, in the last 18 years since this has become law. I'd also like to, if I have to submit paperwork, I will, to find out how many real complaints there have been. How many times have they been, and has there been theft of the garden? Is it happening a lot? Is it not happening very often? What is the, where are we going at with that? As far as growing indoors, like I said, all the components are now UL listed. Sure, you can wire them up badly and cause a fire, but you could do that with a new stove or hot water heater as well. My suggestion on the interior grows would be to possibly use GFI plugs. They're fairly inexpensive. To put a smoke detector in the grow room, and to make sure it has a door that opens into the room with a lock on it. Keeps the kids out. It's easy to bust it open if you have to, if there's a fire. Again, I don't really see fire as being a real problem. I think before we continue and write an ordinance, we've got to make sure that the reasons cited are real reasons, not imagined reasons. And because of that, I think we should kind of look at a timeline. If we get this thing done by March, it could cover next year's grow. Don't want to have to do it twice. Don't even know if we need to do it in the first place. But if it has to be done, I don't think it's a wise thing to continue to redo the ordinance. As far as I've gone all over town. The only grows that I've been able to find are the ones that I know are there. I've been looking hard as to the concept of a grow that's 99 plants outside in Susanville. Where? And most of the time when you grow outside, there's roughly 10 feet between each plant. 99 plants would take up a lot 50 feet by 150 feet. Spaced at that. Are those there? Or is that a problem that really exists? If we're going to pass an ordinance, let's make sure we're covering a problem that's really there, not one that might be there. And I think we have to look at the needs of the community itself, not the rest of the state. The other comment I'd like to make is that the crux of the biscuit, the thing that I see as being a problem, is that the people that grow for medical purposes are others. We're not respected as the other people in the community. We're easy to isolate. Since 520, or what am I saying? 215 went into effect. Local police departments, sheriff departments, and other people have done everything they could to stomp it down, to make more regulations, to eliminate dispensaries, to laws like this. I don't see that complying with the law. I think if we are treated with the dignity and respect that other groups of citizens are treated with, then I think part of the problem would go away. If I've got a complaint, my neighbor doesn't like the smell, if I hear about that complaint, if I have the opportunity to go talk to that neighbor, 9 out of 10 times it'll mitigate the problem. If he sees I'm not a wild-eyed crank freak, that I'm just like he is, that will help to mitigate the problem. as far as the ordinance coming down with misdemeanor charges in California under an ounce for somebody that didn't grow, wasn't a medical patient, was a misdemeanor a couple years back. It changed to an infraction. To me, I don't understand why it has to go immediately to being very stiff law, put you in jail for a year, as opposed to an infraction where you could go by and say, well, you're not complying, you have a certain amount of time to cease and desist or to comply. Oh, another comment on the interior grows. I don't think it would be too difficult to get the fire chief to go and look at people's grows to see that they're safe. I don't think it would be difficult to put into the ordinance that if that were available and I burn my house down with a grow, I get a fine. I didn't wire it up properly. People that are growing medically don't want their crop to burn, they don't want their house to burn. They are, and I think it's a testament to the people that do grow medically that there are so few fires as a result of interior grows. I think we've done a pretty good job of policing ourselves on that aspect of it. And again, when I drive around town, I'm looking hard and I'm not seeing the grows. Most of them are done so as not to disturb the neighbors or to get the high school kids from coming in and getting it. You don't want them to see it, right? One yard grow, you can't see the grow from inside the yard, much less outside the yard, but that would be illegal. You would make that illegal with this ordinance. I think it needs more work. I think we need to make sure we have a real problem that needs to be addressed. And I think we have to, if we address the problem, look at these people. They're your neighbors. They're your citizens that you're sworn to protect and serve. Treat us with the same dignity and the same respect that would be afforded any other part of the population. We are not others, we are your neighbors. And I do very much appreciate you having this forum. I think that took a little guts to do, Dom, and I appreciate it. I also understand that you wrote the ordinance. I can tell that you put, if you didn't indeed write the thing, you put an awful lot of time into this, an awful lot of hours into the research to do this. I think that's admirable. I don't agree with what you come up with, but I do think it's admirable. Another point is that the people that are growing, the people that are, a lot of times I think you find the theft is from the amphetamine people, from that part of the community. The growers, if you listen to them, if you treat them like they've been stolen from and it's important, might be able to help you round up the people that are doing the stealing. I think it's a resource that would help, and I do see amphetamine being a much larger problem than medical cannabis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Please state your name for us, sir.
James Gossage.
Thank you, James.
Good evening. Mine's going to be fairly quick. In Proposition 215 and Section B, it said that if you are a legal medical cannabis user, that if you have it at the recommendation of a doctor, you are not subject to criminal prosecution or sanction. And what this ordinance is a sanction. And being that you do not allow any dispensaries in the county, you're putting an undue hardship on the medical marijuana users. I don't have a car, and I have no way to get to a legal dispensary, being that they are in a round trip 8 hours away. So you are putting an undue hardship on me, and the law, basically, the Constitution says you can't do that to people. That's called oppression, that's called tyranny. And on the other fact that I wanted to make was that in the civil laws under the American with Disabilities Act, you cannot prohibit us from having access to our therapy. And so that's a civil law also that you would be violating if you were to create this ordinance. I agree with the gentleman, and I don't believe that in a legal grow, anybody sets their house on fire. It's the people who set up 6, 8, 12 lights, and the house can't take that much electricity. I have a grow room, and I have absolutely no problem whatsoever, but I'm legal, and so I only need one light, not 6 or 8. So anyway, thank you.
Mr. Gossage, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, are you saying you're not in favor of any regulation on?
I think that if
Because you
you-
talked
if-
about the lights and all that.
Right, if
there is
you
some
wanna
regulation-
clean it up, that, a lot of cities make you do it in a closed area, which you can do outside, or some cities just restrict it to indoor grow. But you can't restrict us from access to our medicine. That's my point.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
State your name for us.
I'm Dave Slama. I talked with you recently, Tom, and I think these meetings are more about what are we gonna do. You know, I researched a lot, I did a lot of time. There's a lot of different counties that, say Mendocino County for one, you have to buy tags. You have to buy $25 tags in order to grow a plant. Now, I'm not gonna say I got my 215, but I'm here to talk about an ordinance. And there's fences inside of fences. I've noticed in grows around town that people are growing with 4-foot fences. My fence is a 6-foot fence. I have a 14-foot fence on the inside of my fence. Because there is problems. There are kids that are problems, nuisances, you know, and people gotta follow more laws, and this is more in the lines, he's trying to help people around here to us having our grow. So if we come up with a better idea, I like the idea of Mendocino County. I don't know if anybody knows about Mendocino County. They have, the crime rate ain't that bad. I mean, in us paying $25 per plant, I don't mind. I mean, there's disabled people that can't afford it, but it would help the police, it would help the crime rate, I bet. He'd know where the grows are, fences on the inside, I mean, the smell. I use plastic on the outside of my fence, so all the smell goes straight in the air. And there's just gotta be different things, and I do notice a lot of people that don't even really care. I mean, the people here are probably the only ones that care to keep it, and there's others that let kids show it. I mean, it's wrong for them to do that and put us on the spotlight, and that's what it's doing. And you know, everybody should come up with some kind of different idea of ordinances and look at the ordinances in different counties and figure something out. I mean, it's gonna be a while, but we all need to help. And it's gonna keep everybody that's growing illegally, legal. And it's gonna make your guys' job safer. You know, I don't know what else to say, but I just look at all the ordinance to the counties, and I really prefer the $25 a plant. You know, I look at it and make that money towards the task force or the police. That Mendocino, you have to, the money that they pay into Mendocino, it goes back to the police department to do their training. Or the fences, you know, a locked fence. It also states in our ordinance in Lassen County that we have to have a locked fence. And mine is completely solid. I have so much locked on it that I have cameras, I have locks, I have, you name it. You know, I'm not gonna let some little kid get into my backyard. But for as many times as I was burglarized, the $25, I feel strictly that we should be paying the city something to be growing in city limits. And I don't, that's something the council and Tom's gonna have to figure out. But I feel that we need to pay something to the city to grow. It doesn't, you know, I have a script for 99, and there's no freaking way I could put 99 plants in my backyard. I own a 105 by 55 foot space or lot. There's no way. I grow in a 25 by 45, I grow 10 plants, and I can't grow anymore. So it's gonna lower the people that grow and just show it all out. I mean, we need bigger fences, you need enclosures, and help the city. You know, I think the city needs some money for us to grow. I mean, we might have to pay for a script, but it'll at least let the city PD know that where we are, what we're doing, and how many we got. And if you guys all, I don't know if any of you look into the counties, look into the counties and look at Mendocino County.